The paper that you have in the backpack. Can I see the paper? Merci. Let's see. Where are you guys from?
No, not from.
Huh? What's that?
No.
Are you guys from Guinea?
Yeah, Guinea.
Guinea?
Yeah.
Parlez-vous français?
So a little while ago, I made a couple trips to Arizona. The first trip I was down there for the TPUSA conference in December, and most recently in February. Now I'm gonna do a part 2 to the video where I talk about my second trip and what I saw while I was down there. But this video is gonna be mostly about my experience on the first trip and what I saw specifically at the airport. Now this all started when well-known social media content creator Ashley St. Clair put out a video of her experience at the airport, and this is what she saw.
I'm at the Phoenix airport right now. I'm waiting to board my flight to New York, to JFK, and it looks like we have a whole lot of migrants who are also boarding this flight that the US taxpayers are paying for. This is what the US taxpayers are paying for right here. Premium seats on Delta that they have people coming here. We're paying for this, shipping them out to New York City because guess what? Everywhere else is at capacity. So they have these sanctuary cities like New York that they're now shipping these migrants to that we're all paying for.
Now this video went absolutely viral with 27.3 million views on X, formerly known as Twitter. And you can see it sitting there with about 49,000 likes and 13,000 comments, 16,000 retweets. Now while most people, especially those who follow her on the right, saw this and were shocked and disgusted that this was happening in America's airports, the other side was not so nice. For example, you can see this post by well-known social media content creator Hassan Piker, who goes by Hassan Abi on X, where he goes in all caps, "I can't believe there are migrants on a flight in an airport. Someone quickly investigate why foreigners can sometimes be in airports. I am so scared." And this post got even more likes than Ashley's post, even though it got way less views. And the post even got community noted for a moment, saying, well, there's no evidence that any of the people in this video are actually illegal migrants. Now, if you know what to look for, there are indeed obviously illegal migrants in the video that she posted, but granted, she didn't go up to them, zoom in on the paperwork in front of everybody on her own and get that documentation for the people on social media. So seeing what Ashley had gone through the previous day, when I went to the airport the subsequent day, I decided to do just that. Because when I got to the airport, I saw these people everywhere. If I had to estimate, I probably saw somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 migrants at the airport when I went there. So me and a few buddies, you should follow all of them, Sean Fitzgerald, Taylor Hanson, Tony Ortiz of Current Revolt, we decided to walk around the terminal and see what we could find. Now, almost immediately, my friend Tony of Current Revolt caught this on camera. You can see this on his post where he says, "The migrants are also entering the women's restrooms and having to be escorted out." And here you can see one of the male migrants in the women's restroom. And you can see in his hands, he's very likely carrying some of the documentation he probably got from one of these NGO groups. So very quickly, I saw a group of migrants sitting together at one of the gates. And I decided to go up to them and ask for some documentation.
Hey, can you record? Can you record? Excuse me. Which country?
French.
French?
Not speaking.
Oh, je parlais un petit peu français. Pays, qu'est-ce que pays?
He's from
Guinea. Not pays.
Quoi?
Guinea. He's from
Guinea, Guinea. Okay, and you guys are going where? New York.
New York.
New York. The paper. Can I see the paper? Les documents. Les documents dans this one. Can I see the paper? The paper that you have in the backpack. Can I see the paper? Je suis la média. Oui, oui, oui.
Vous êtes journaliste.
Oui, oui, oui.
Ah, okay.
Can I see the Merci. Can I see it? Thank you. Merci. C'est. Let's see. Can you come here? So, New York, and this is Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona, and let's see. Merci. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
You said you are from
Media.
media.
Yes.
Which media?
I have a YouTube channel, Nuance Pro Media.
YouTube channel.
Nuance
Why
Pro.
is he recording us without our consent?
Well, this is a public area, so we do have, implicit consent because this is a public area. But yeah, we're just documenting the migrant crisis that's happening in the United States. All right, thank you very much.
Now, you have to excuse me, my French is very rusty. I used to be fluent when I was much younger, but of course, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I was not expecting to speak French during this trip, but, there you go. So you see me asking the migrant for le paper, the paper. I forgot the word for paper was papier. But I said documents, or documents, that does work. And when he gives me the paper, you can see it says New York, that's his destination. And on the back of it, it says Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona. By now, if you've been keeping up with the border crisis and the illegal immigration coming through and the various NGOs that are associated with helping basically facilitate this, you might have heard of Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona. But up until that point, which was December of last year when I posted this video, I had not seen anybody get the documentation up that close. I'm sure it happened, but I had not seen it, and most of the people I know had not seen it until that point. And this gave me a few things to look into, which I'm going to get more into in the latter part of this video, but also more in depth in part 2, because I end up visiting one of the facilities that this organization is running for the migrants. Now, a lot of comments I got at the time from critics, and maybe some of you are asking this in good faith yourselves watching this video, is how do you know these people are migrants? How do you know are you just going up to any random person that you think might look like a migrant and asking them for documentation? Well, not quite. What I noticed very early on is that there was a particular pattern if they had bags that they would have these luggage tags on them. As you can see here in a post that was criticizing me, the person said, "Sorry, did you just go up to a group of black people minding their business at an airport and ask them for their papers and then recorded it without their consent?" And this post has 31,000 likes. And of course, I responded with, "Illegally entering the United States is not minding your own business," to which they replied, "Nuance, how would I find people, quote, illegally entering the US in an airport while traveling next week? What are the steps for me finding someone?" So I said these folks have white tags on their backpacks, so it was easy to identify them, and many are traveling with those papers in hand. And the person said, "Mind pointing out where the white tags are in the video? I'm not seeing it, but I don't have the best eyes." And I said, "Sure, no problem, bud." And as you can see, this is from the video I just showed you guys, and I circled the white luggage tag in bright red. As you can see right there, many of the migrants had this exact tag on their bags. And if you're thinking, well, that's just a normal luggage tag that you would get in an airport, that doesn't mean that they're an illegal migrant. But the thing is, I noticed a pattern with almost all of these migrants that if they had that tag, nobody else I saw had that tag that wasn't an illegal migrant. Plus, they're not getting these at the airport. As you can see in this still that I captured from a different video, these are migrants down at Eagle Pass in Texas who just crossed the border, and they have these tags on their backpacks already. So this is well before they got to the airport. Now, I confronted a separate migrant as well at the airport, as you can see in this video.
Check this out, check this out. Where are you guys from?
No, now from.
Huh? What's that?
No.
Are you guys from Guinea?
Yeah, Guinea.
Guinea?
Yeah.
Parlez-vous français? Parlez-vous français?
No, français, oui.
Do you have the paperwork that you have within the backpack? The paper?
Which paper?
Le document? Document?
Document.
Oui. Can I see the documents? Merci. And let's see, so this is so we have okay. New York City. Where are you going? New York. New York. Okay. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
So once again, like the first group, you can see right at the beginning of the video, if we zoom in and enhance, you can see the same luggage tag on the man's backpack. Now I had to edit this version just a little bit because the personal information on the sheet of paper, I don't want to risk getting the video flagged or taken down because they tried to do that to one of my posts on X. So it happens. But as you can see here on the paperwork, it's a little weird. It's saying the last date and place of his last entry or attempted entry was literally 3 days before the current day that I'm speaking to him. And it was in Lukeville, Arizona. Now, if you know anything about Lukeville, Arizona, the area has been popping off a ton lately, especially during this time in particular. It was just seeing unprecedented amounts of illegal migrants coming across the border. It's a very remote part of the border, not many towns close to it whatsoever. And really, I hadn't seen a ton of reports about the area, except for that of Bill Malugin, who does a great job covering the illegal alien crisis. He had a report on Fox News just 2 weeks prior talking about Lukeville, and he was on scene with footage. Let's take a look at that footage.
Here in Lukeville, we are quite literally in the middle of nowhere. 2.5 hours to the closest major city. Thousands are crossing here illegally every day, and the situation is completely unsustainable. We'll step out, give you a look at the scene here. This is a mass of hundreds upon hundreds of people who have crossed the border illegally and are camped out here at the border wall, waiting to be apprehended by Border Patrol. You'll quickly notice these are all single adult men. There is not a single woman or child in this group you're looking at, and these guys are coming in from all over the world. Large amounts of African men from Senegal, from Guinea, from Mauritania, from Egypt, others from the Middle East, others from Asia. This is Border Patrol's Tucson, Arizona sector, which just had 17,500 illegal crossings last week alone. That is the highest weekly total ever recorded. We talked to one for this sector. We talked to one man from Mauritania who told us he paid smugglers $10,000 to get here, first flying into Colombia. We talked to another man from Guinea who says once he's processed, he plans to head to New York City. Now, you might be wondering, how does this happen when we have the border wall right here?
So as you could see from the footage, those were all single adult males. I mean, you couldn't find a female in that entire crowd. Maybe if you really tried, I'm sure there's one or two somewhere in that entire crowd, but these were all single adult males. And like you noticed from the airport footage, there's African migrants there. I don't know if you know this, but Africa is this entire other continent that's separated from the United States by this giant ocean called the Atlantic Ocean. So these people have to fly via plane to some country in South America or Central America and then make their way up into the United States. Because you see a lot of people who aren't well up to date on this issue and they think, oh, well, it's just, Mexicans are coming over and things like that. No, it's Central and South America, as well as the rest of the world. I mean, it's not just Mexico. This isn't the 1980s anymore. And like you heard in this footage, the Tucson sector is exploding. If you remember, I did a video a few months back where I went to the Texas southern border at Eagle Pass, and I captured footage of migrants jumping over the razor-fenced wall that they had down there, and they were coming into the country. And at the time, Texas was all the talk. Everything was about Texas and Eagle Pass, Del Rio sector. That's where all the activity was. But things have changed in a very short period of time. As you can see here from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection website, Southwest Land Border Encounters by component. And if we scroll down, we can see the various sectors. And this is U.S. Border Patrol fiscal year 23 months versus fiscal year 24 months encounters percentage change. So the months we're looking at are October, November, December, January. This is fiscal year to date. And we can see every single Texas sector. This is Rio Grande Valley, Laredo, Del Rio, Big Bend, El Paso, all of these are down. El Paso down 50.2%. Big Bend down 69.5%. Del Rio down 1.3%. Laredo down 40.4%. Rio Grande Valley down 23%. But where do we see the biggest change? Tucson sector up 182.4%. And of course, San Diego up 73.8%. Every other sector is down right now. And if you get into more recent data, if we look just in the month of January, we can see that 1% decrease for Del Rio is actually a decrease of 41.2%. So there was a big change recently, and we'll get into what that is in just a moment. But still, Tucson, 150% increase. San Diego, 60% increase. You have all of Texas down, and you have Arizona and California up. So what's going on here? Well, what we're most likely seeing here is a difference in policy. Now, generally speaking, immigration policy, border protection, these are supposed to be the purview of the federal government. But because the federal government, whether it's Joe Biden or DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, are not really doing their job as is prescribed to them by the laws of the United States, states like Texas, or basically only the state of Texas, has taken it upon themselves to enforce the law. As you can see here in the Austin American Statesman, Texas seizes control of Shelby Park in Eagle Pass in ongoing border security effort. A spokeswoman for Governor Greg Abbott says the state took over the park on the Rio Grande because Biden has not secured the border. That was January 11th. And then we have this article from CNN, January 19th. Texas authorities have begun arresting migrants at a public park near the U.S.-Mexico border, officials say. So the state of Texas, they've mobilized the National Guard. They have their Texas state troopers down there, which is Texas DPS. And they were putting up razor wire. If people started trespassing, they come onto the property, they get arrested. This is not happening in other states. And right now, Texas is fighting this battle in the courts. A lot of things are happening on that front. One day they say, okay, you can go enforce the law. Then they say, no, we're actually, putting an injunction on that, so you can't. And then the injunction is lifted and then it's reimposed. So there's a lot of back and forth happening in the courts right now. But basically, migrants are more afraid of coming through the state of Texas. They're seeing the news, people are getting arrested. Why chance it going through Texas when you can go through California and Arizona and not have to worry about it? Both of those states have Democrat governors. They're not doing anything, and it's a free-for-all basically over there. So of course, once these policies go into place in January, you saw a drastic decrease across the board in the state of Texas. And the only two other states that are seeing increases are California and Arizona. Now you might ask yourself, well, what about New Mexico? Well, if you look at the breakdown by sector, which here you can see a map of the Southwest Border Patrol sectors, you can see that basically all of New Mexico is part of the El Paso sector. So El Paso, even though that's technically in Texas, the El Paso sector, that's all of the New Mexico border. So that's already included in the numbers. And as we saw, El Paso, those numbers are down. It is just Tucson sector, which has the majority of the Arizona border. Yuma is like a smaller section. And then the San Diego sector, which obviously right across from San Diego, you have Tijuana, major population center. And that's primarily where most of the illegals going into California are going through. So let's get back to these NGOs. Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona. What is it? Who are they? Who funds them? What's the deal? Well, let's get into it. So Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona is one of the groups that's part of this larger network called Catholic Charities. As you can see from their website, Catholic Charities USA, working to reduce poverty in America. Now, if we go to the agency locator on their website, we can go to the map and we can scroll to Arizona. And here we see we're down in Tucson. We click here and we see Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona. And they have organizations like this, as you saw from the map, all over the country. In fact, let me show you one near me in Texas. This is the Catholic Charities Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston. This is their annual report for fiscal year 2022 through 2023. And if we scroll down, we can see they have over $100 million in revenue, over 80% of which is from government grants. So this is your taxpayer dollars going to this organization. And if we look at the breakdown of this, we see about $40 million for children and family services, barely any for senior and adult services, almost $50 million for immigration and refugee services, basically helping out illegal immigrants, a little bit for disaster relief and response, and about $5.5 million for housing services. So as you can see, over half of the money goes to immigration and refugee services in the program services. Although if you want to include fundraising and management and general expenses, then it's, about 48%. Now remember that 100 million number, that is just for the specific branch, the Galveston, Houston branch of Catholic Charities. Now we go to Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona, and we look at their 2022 through 2023 annual report, and we can see that their total revenue was about $43 million, the vast majority of which comes from government fees and grants at about $26 million. And here you can see some of the breakdown for their program services. So about $9 million for services for the disabled, about $6.5 million for family and children's services. How much of that goes to illegals? I don't know. You see Casa Alitas, about $7 million. And if you don't know, Casa Alitas is part of Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona, and this is their branch. They do a lot of the illegal immigrant, refugee stuff. This is the organization you saw when I was looking at the paperwork for those people from Guinea, and it said Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona. That's these guys. Now notice it says contributions. They got almost $6 million from contributions. So this is people giving them money. Well, check this out. Look at this press release from 2022. Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona receives $5 million from Bezos Day One Families Fund grant to help end homelessness for families. So Bezos, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, gave $5 million through his foundation to this organization. Now, it appears to be earmarked for helping end homelessness for families, but at organizations like this, funds are fungible, so they can just reallocate money and shift it around based on, okay, you want $5 million to go to this thing? Well, we were already going to put $5 million there, so now we have $5 million freed up to put towards whatever we want. And again, there's no guarantee that the homelessness is going towards American citizens. This could still mean homelessness related to illegal immigrants who don't have housing. But let's quickly jump back to the paperwork from the one guy I confronted as I was going down the escalators. Because if you look at the document, you can see on the bottom right under processing disposition, there's a box that's checked, and they wrote in pen what appears to be NTA/OR. Now that means notice to appear / own recognizance. So there's a notice, they're given a notice to appear in court, and then they're released on their own recognizance. So they're not being detained. That's obviously why he's at the airport right now. But then right below that, it says claims fear ? And you can see yes and no. And both of them are empty. Neither of those are checked. There's actually a lot on this form that's left empty, and that's kind of weird and puzzling. But we're always told this is all about, oh, well, it's the asylum system. These people come and they claim asylum, and that's why we have to let them in because asylum or whatever. It's not even on the paperwork. It says claims fear, and then we don't have yes or no checked at all. We see the criminal history box isn't checked. We see prosecution isn't checked. Heck, we don't even see the A-file number up at the top. That's not me censoring the document. There just isn't a number up there. There's so many people flooding the border, and Border Patrol is in such a hurry to just process these people because they have so many people they have to process. They just can't do it all, that they're skipping all these steps. In fact, they even spell the name wrong. The guy's from Guinea, and it's missing a G. There's no G there. It's Unia. Ini. There's no G in there. So it's just a mess down there, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this in my part 2 video where you'll see footage of me down at the border, what I saw down there, etc. But what do you guys think? Did you learn anything new from the video? Had you seen this before? Did you know some of the information I presented about the sectors and which ones are hot versus cold right now? Let me know in the comments down below. I know it's been a long time since I've made a video. Believe me, I'm fully aware. I'm going to try to be a bit more regular, especially compared to the last few months. But yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Social media links are in the description box below, as well as merch. Support us at nuancebro.com/join, and I'll see you next time, bro.